Welcome back to where the soul echoes, where your soul's unfolding is not rushed, not forced, but deeply honored. If you have walked with us through the mirror, the ache of separation, and the trembling courage of surrender, then you know this truth. The twin flame journey is not a straight path, it is a spiral, weaving you ever closer to your essence, ever deeper into love's truest form. And now, you arrive at what the soul has been preparing you for all along. The sacred return. The return is not what the human mind imagines it to be. It is not just reunion in the physical sense, though it may manifest that way. The sacred return begins within. It is the homecoming of your soul to itself, the gentle unfolding into a wholeness that no longer seeks outside of itself for completion, and from this inner return, the outer world begins to mirror it back to you. Pause for a moment, breathe, feel your body where it is. Notice the rhythm of your heart. This is your homecoming. Every heartbeat is a drum. Calling you back, every breath is the sound of the universe whispering, you are already here. The sacred return is not sudden. It is the slow recognition that you have walked through fire and found yourself still standing, that you have surrendered what once defined you, and now something vaster is rising in its place. It is grace meeting you in the aftermath of surrender, not as a lightning bolt, but as a dawn. You may feel it first as a softening. The ache of longing that once tore through you now feels less like a wound, and more like a river guiding you. The silence that once felt unbearable now becomes spacious, sacred, alive. You are no longer clinging to the story of how love must appear. Instead, you begin to live love as it is, in your breath, in your choices, in your being. The return is not about going back, it is about going forward. But with a heart unshackled, it is about stepping into life, into relationships, into the connection itself, without the old chains of fear and control. This is love unbound. This is the soul echoing in its truest voice. And yet, this return is not a single moment, it is a long unfolding. Sometimes so subtle you barely notice it happening. A glance in the mirror where your eyes no longer carry the same ache. A conversation where you realize you are no longer waiting for their validation. A night under the stars where you feel, for the first time, that the sky itself is enough. The sacred return is not one event. It is the rhythm of grace entering your life in countless ways in this phase. You may notice subtle shifts. Where once you chased, now you allow. Where once you feared loss, now you trust in abundance. Where once you defined yourself by their presence, now you know yourself in their absence. And from this knowing, something extraordinary happens. You become magnetic, not in a way that grasps, but in a way that radiates. You are no longer pulling love toward you. You are love, and all that resonates with love flows naturally in your direction. This magnetism is not about appearance or effort. It is not the magnetism of performance, where you try to be what you think another wants. It is the magnetism of essence, the radiance of a soul at peace with itself, when you are no longer fractured by longing. When you are no longer driven by fear, you become luminous, and everything that is meant for you feels that light. The sacred return may bring your twin flame back into your life, not as the missing half of you, but as a reflection of the wholeness you've reclaimed. Or it may bring other sacred connections that remind you of the divine truth you've anchored, whatever form it takes. The essence remains. The return is the soul's homecoming. The return is love, no longer bound by conditions. There will be moments in this return where you are tempted to slip back into old patterns. The familiar urge to chase, the fear of silence, the question of when will they come back. These moments do not mean you are failing. They mean you are human, and in the return, even these moments are met with compassion. You learn to soothe yourself instead of abandoning yourself. You learn to listen inward instead of grasping outward, and slowly, the old urgency dissolves. Picture this, you are standing at the edge of a vast ocean. For years you have been searching for a ship to carry you home. You have watched every horizon, desperate for sails to appear, but in the return, You look down and realize the waves themselves are carrying you. The tide has always been moving beneath your feet. You are already home. The ship you were waiting for was never outside of you. It was the soul steering you all along. This recognition is freedom. You do not stop loving your twin flame. You do not forget them, but you release the story that says love must look one way to be real. You allow love to take its truest shape. Even if that shape is mystery, and in that allowance, you become more open to life, more open to the divine, more open to love itself. The sacred return is a reordering of priorities, where once the entire world revolved around the question of them, now the world expands around the truth of you. Your creativity blooms, your body feels lighter, you rediscover passions that had been buried beneath longing. You start to see the divine, not only in your twin flame, but in the stranger on the street, in the sun breaking through clouds, in the silence between breaths. Love stops being something you wait for. It becomes the ground you walk upon, and perhaps most tender of all. The return is where forgiveness begins to root deeply. Forgiveness of them for the choices that hurt you. Forgiveness of yourself for the times you abandoned your truth. Forgiveness of the path for being so winding, so painful, and yet so necessary. Forgiveness here is not a performance. It is the natural flowering of a heart that no longer needs to hold on. From this place, union, whether with your twin flame or simply within yourself, becomes not a destination but a way of being. You begin to understand that every step of separation, every surrender, every tear was part of this return. Nothing was wasted, nothing was lost. All of it was the soul's way of guiding you home. So take a breath here. Inhale the truth of your becoming. Exhale the weight of the journey you've carried. Feel the grace of your return settling into your body. You are no longer wandering. You are no longer grasping. You are home. And from this home, you can love freely, fiercely, fully, without fear, without demand, without chains. This is the sacred return, the echo of your soul singing back to you. Welcome home. If these words touched you, softened you, or reminded you of the truth within your heart, subscribe to Where the Soul Echoes. Share your reflections in the comments. Your journey matters. Your story resonates. Your soul is listening.